What's going on, boys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the new 4-4-2. Not these variations, a different one that I'll show you that's been very pivotal and been one of the best comeback formations. I took some influence of the pro player, which I'll mention in a second. Before I get on to the video, I'm going to say this video is sponsored by FIFA School Series. If you want to get better at FIFA, come join my FIFA School Series. Hundreds of others have gone through it. Don't forget, we've got the complete Division 10 to Elite Division series where I show you every single game from a Division 10 with live commentary and my controller, so you know exactly what I'm pressing with the most basic football to show that anyone can do it. Come to FIFA School, patreon.com/NealGuides, link is down below in the description for hundreds of other videos, not just from this year, last year and the year before, and of course other videos on that matter. But anyway, back to the video. So I wanted to show you this this tactic that I kind of gained some influence from. I was watching a Huge Gorilla. So first of all, a massive shout out to Huge Gorilla. I'm pretty sure who you know that is, one of the best FIFA players of all time. I think he won in 2017 if I'm not mistaken, FIFA 17. And I was watching his stream and I kind of got some influence because he was using the 4-2-4. Now normally I would use, so the way it normally is, the 4-4-2 second variation is kind of like a defensive 4-4-2, and 4-4-2 is a flat one without the CDMs, but it's a bit more attacking. But then what I saw he was doing is he ended up using the 4-2-4, and it kind of got me thinking for a second, right? If you're talking about all-out attack formation, this is the perfect one. Now, why? It's because the 4-2-4, if in theory you put these players on comeback and offense, it still defends like a 4-4-2. That's what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks this is a very attacking formation. It is true. But if you put comeback and offense on these guys, it still defends in a 4-4-2. It's that it's more attacking than a flat 4-4-2. So it's perfect. So if you don't want, so don't forget, we don't really want the CDMs because we want it to be more attacking. So we're going to go through, I'm going to show you how it all works together and how everything comes into play. Now the defensive style, you've got two options here. You can use press after possession loss and use team press inside the game, the D-pad tactics to aid your performance. Or you can use constant pressure. I would recommend for most of you guys as a comeback formation to use constant pressure. Now the width. This is the defensive width. So let's say, for example, your opponent has the ball. This is how high and how wide you're going to be. Not how high, but how high, how wide your team is going to be, and how high is what your depth is. So you want this to be as high as possible, because of course, if your opponent is passing the ball from side to side, going from there to there, back, lobbing it across, you want to be as wide as possible. So the idea is to make this formation very wide. That way when you apply constant pressure, you know how broken it is, your team will just jump forward and leap forward and attack your opponent from all angles. Likewise, the same with the depth. Now the depth has changed a little bit, so we don't want to go too crazy now, since depth has changed after the patch. We've gone with 70. So the idea is you're going to be high up the pitches as much as possible to win the ball back, and we're going to be as wide as possible. And that is very important, especially if using hug the sidelines, a good technique to counter and lobbing the ball from fullback to fullback. Now move over to the build-up play. Now I did change some things that Gorilla did. So a lot of these things I've changed. So I don't even know what's exact from Gorilla, to be honest. I've made changes myself. So this is not his exact ones. In case you're wondering, I'm sure he's probably got a video on that on his channel. I'm not too sure. But I have gone with long ball. Fast put-up play, I think just a bit too quick. I think if you're a pro player, it's fine because they know the exact passes. They use the play a lot feature. They know exactly what to do. But I think realistically, for yourselves and even for myself, I think realistically long ball is the way to go, because long ball just basically means when you get the ball back, the players, especially for example your two centre mids, your left mids and your two strikers, they're going to be making those runs going forward. And I think that's what's very important. We've got both of these guys on attacking, which you'll see in a second. So I don't think fast put-up play is a solution, because you could be 1-0 down and then you could go 2-0 down because you get counted because you lose the ball on a fast build-up play. So that's what I would say. So I would say long ball is pretty much the way to go. Now for the chance creation, from my understanding, he uses direct passing. He showed it once. I think he used direct passing when I was watching his stream. I would recommend, personally speaking, I'd probably still say forward runs. I know everyone loves direct passing, but I genuinely believe for the average player, forward runs is better. Direct passing really has its own unique style. If you're like you see a lot of pro players, they try to get the driven passes to the striker and try to do a skill move. They try to get the ball down the wing, for example, and then they try to use a driven pass inside the box. So the use case for driven pass and direct passing in general is quite different from most players. I would say go into the game and try either one. I'll be honest, I shift most of the time, but I personally prefer forward runs contrary to most of the community. I would highly recommend trying forward runs first, then try direct passing and then decide. What I would say is the forward runs, think of it like all your players just kind of push forward. Just think that every single player that you have on the pitch, they make the runs going forward. And then when it comes to direct passing, it's kind of like the strikers, they run and then they go back into a good position. You might have seen this a lot. I mean, people always read this description saying, you know, once the team enters the attacking zone with the possession, players will create chance of making runs or passes in behind opposing back line. It's not as simple as that. I'll probably make a video on, I'll compare both of them, I'll explain to you the difference. But yeah, that is direct passing. But yeah, try either one. Now, I would say forward runs. Now, for the width, now this is the thing. I think for the 4-4-2 is quite a wide 4-4-4, same thing. It's quite a wide formation naturally. So I don't see the point of being a more wider width, because when you're attacking, you don't want these players to be so wide, because then you're going to be attacking. These guys are going to be like this, and your strikers are going to be isolated. So you don't really want that system, I believe. You can always use hug the sidelines to make the formation wider on the fly if you want to. So quite contrary, I've gone all the way down. I've pushed the width all the way down at 35. Now, don't forget, it's still a 4-4-2, so the formation's still going to be wider. It's just that they're not going to be on the sidelines. They're going to be like here-ish. They're not going to be as wide as like a hug the sidelines or a very high width, because it's still a 4-4-2 at the end of the day. And then the players in the box, you could probably put this as high as you want, but I think 7 is a good proportionate balance. This is one of the very few formations that I may have corners and free kicks on a higher amount. I'd probably go either towards a 3, or you can even potentially go towards a 4. I normally pass my corners, but you can of course do that as well. Now, going over to the instructions. So for both the left mid and the right mid, so this is for both of them, come back in the fence, get into the box for a cross. Okay, that's very, very important. And then I have personally left this on balance. Now, you can use either one of these, but this is the point. Stay wide, think of it like hug the sidelines. Free roam, they kind of do nothing in my opinion. Cut inside is only if you use the cut inside feature, if you actually play possession. I think at that point, you're better leaving it at balance. AI is good enough to make the decision, but I think for support runs, get into the box for, get in behind, really get into the box for a cross is the perfect combination for going forward. Because when you get in a cross situation, the opposite side will come inside the box. That's the perfect thing of getting, because don't forget, get inside the box for crosses only from cross situations. And the benefit of getting behind is that when you do get the ball going forward, a combination of long ball and forward runs, they're going to be making those darting runs forward as soon as you get the ball. So for both of them, we left them on balance and we left them on getting into the box for cross. No conservative, nothing like that. For the two strikers, okay, we got stay forward. I personally leave it on balanced, but you can leave it on getting behind and aggressive interceptions. Just because you want these two players to be as aggressive as you can, think of it like you just want them to be a bit more. Because don't forget, when people are wasting time, sometimes you're controlling your left mid, your right mid. Why not make these players aggressive? The reason why I say don't make these players aggressive, well, both the wingers, should I say, is because if you make the wingers aggressive, the only downside is that I find sometimes when people are trying to get past you, they always like to use the butterfly wings. They try to get the ball with their left mid and right mid. They do a 1-2 back to the right back. So if this guy's on aggressive, let's say you got one of these defenders on aggressive, you don't want to be caught out of possession. So that's why I'd say leave these left mid and right mid on balanced, okay? For the attacking guys, this is what so in the beginning, I normally have stay back and I put one of these guys on get forward. That is what I normally do. But what I did is I kind of tried it. So I saw Gorilla did it and I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. And it's actually a fantastic idea. It does make you very attacking, but it makes it impossible for your opponent to defend against as long as you can defend with the back four. Basically, get forward and get into the box for both of these guys. Cover center. And then what you do basically is you just sub on attacking players here. So let's say, for example, here I'll have Diallo. What I would probably do is I'd keep Cancelo on, but I'll sub off Diallo for someone like Atal or someone very, very attacking, or even like a second striker. So if you're trying to come back in the game, that is a very good solution. Now, normally I said that one of these guys on holding the line, on stay back, maybe even conservative, and the other guy going forward. But this is why I changed it up. Try this, because I think with get forward and long ball, they don't rush forward immediately, but they kind of go forward with pace but not with haste. Does that make sense? Unintentional rhyme there. But it's quite a good combination. You'll see what I mean. If you don't believe me, just try fast bullet play and you'll see maybe it's a bit too quick. Some of you guys might like it, but I'll be honest, long ball is really the way to go there. So that is how the midfield works. Now we left everything else. Don't put this on free roam or drift wide. It is pointless. Drift wide, they just end up going here and you lose central players. It's completely irrelevant. Makes it worse. Free roam, they basically do nothing in my opinion. They don't act as what you think they kind of just hang around. They linger around outside the box. You kind of want them to be inside the box here, and hence why you'll get into the box for cross concentration and get forward. Now for the left back and right back, I will still go with overlap conservative. Now if you want to trigger these players forward with the L1 button, you can use the L1 button and supplement your attack by pushing these players forward. You can do that. Alternatively, you can leave these guys unbalanced. I would say though, for most players that you'll play, any top tier players, they're smart enough to do a butterfly wings up against your left back. You notice if someone wants to hold the ball, where do they go to all the time? They do a 1-2 down the wings and they play a through ball in behind. The problem is that with these guys unbalanced, they may commit sometimes too much. And I think if you had them on stay back, you can always just use the D-pad tactics, attacking fullbacks to override this, and then they make the runs going forward on the outside. Why? It's because you want these guys to go on the inside. So if you do use cut inside for both of these players, that's why you want overlap. I leave it on balance anyway because AI is smart enough. When these players make a run the outside, AI is smart enough and they make, for example, in this case, Tikatita and Martial make the runs going inwards. So that is, of course, a left back and a right back. Now, for the centre backs, I'll be honest, leave it completely unbalanced. If you really want to, you could do join the attack, but I'll be honest, that is too much. That's taken too much of a risk because you're going to get counted immediately. And even if you're 1-0 down at 80 minutes, I'd rather you play at 10 minutes and maybe get 1 or 2 chances than be 2-0 down and then it being game over. You can even consider player striker in the last couple of minutes or so. That's the only thing that I'd probably go with. You consider player striker because don't forget they're only going to go through in the last few minutes of the game. So you can think about it as the final attack, to do or die chance. You're saving it for the final attack. You can maybe take that risk, but I'll be honest, I personally leave it on balance. And do not put aggressive interceptions on these guys. These guys have to lead these guys on conservative, lead these guys on balance, and lead these guys. You can lead these on balance as well, to be honest. The only pass that should be on aggressive is these guys. And the reason for this is that your opponent most time will pass the ball from left back to right back. You'll be switching between these two players most of the time. Let AI be aggressive with your strikers. Because the ball goes to the middle, you got these two guys to react. If you be aggressive with your left mid, for example, here he does he triggers, for example, Mbappe down the wing and does a driven through ball down the wing, there's no recovery. And that is why you at least want this guy to stay in position, or you leave this guy. So if you really want to, I'll leave these guys on balance. You have to leave them on conservative, but you could leave them on balance. If you really want to, you can put them on aggressive, but to be honest, you're on constant pressure anyway. Just trust me, just leave these guys on balance, or you can leave them on conservative. I leave them on balance. I think it's completely fine. Don't put your defenders on conservative. They make mistakes sometimes. They maybe sometimes too conservative. Sometimes you can actually be too conservative with your back line. They just run back. And they stay back. There might be a chance for you to intercept the ball. You put this on conservative, and sometimes they might just stay in their position as opposed to actually lunging forward. So you don't really want that. And then the final thing is the goalkeeper. Now the goalkeeper I leave on balance, but if you really want to, you could do super keeper, and you do a comes or crosses. If you really wanted to be aggro because you anticipate the driven through ball down the wing, but I wouldn't recommend that. Leave it on balance. But this is the formation to use if you are losing and you want to come back. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out guys.